So I start with all of our assets. And the first asset I list is, I list our house, our cars, our investments, bank accounts, etc. So I get the asset number, and then I go down and list all the debts, and then I subtract the two out and see what is our net worth today.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that for literally, 25 years or so.
So you have this Excel spreadsheet that's a net worth statement, but you have isn't listed as an asset. I shouldn't be laughing.
No,
but,
I mean,
but I'm just trying to imagine, how do you build something like this?
Yeah. The only direct quote of Jesus that's not recorded in the Gospels is in the book of Acts, where Paul said, the Lord himself said, it's more blessed to give than to receive.
Yeah.
There is greater joy in giving than in getting. And I have experienced that.
My name is Ryan Diamisi, and I'm a wealth advisor at Christian Wealth Management. My goal is for the clients that I work for to redeem their money as a tool to build their faith. I have Dave Gibson with me, which is a friend, pastor, and an author, if I remember right.
Yes, sir.
And a grandpa.
Yes.
Husband.
Yes.
Which could make a lot of sense. But Dave, I'm thinking about you sharing about the books you've written. That could be a good way to intro, but also tell whatever you think would be helpful for people to know about you.
So here's my life story in a nutshell. I'm 73 years old, so I'm going to have to give you the short version because it's a long story. But grew up in a very religious household, and I was very frightened of God, and for all of my teen years, I would say I was mentally ill. I was anxious out of my mind. I was trying to work hard to make God happy with me, and I described myself as an orphan in a family of 7 because I had no one to speak to, and I was alone. So when I was 19, studied the Gospel of John by myself in my bedroom, understood the concept of grace and substitution for the first time, trusted Christ. The next morning I woke up, I was already getting better. I mean, it took a long time to get out of, the hole I was in, but it was a horrible, horrible 10 years. But in the generosity of God, he pulled me out, met a wonderful Christian woman in college, and we got married in 1974. We have 3 kids, 11 grandkids. And I started life as a forester in Montana, went to University of Montana. 3 years later, I went to Dallas Seminary for 5 years, taught at Alaska Bible College 8 years, pastored in Idaho Falls 12 years, pastored in Houston 10 years, worked for an international mission board out of Dallas 9 years, and then I retired here to Eagle, Boise area in 2019. And my wife says that I'm retired, but I'm not very good at it. So
yeah, because since retirement, you've been a pastor how many times?
Well, I've been speaking a lot. I was a pastor for 13 months for our church that had troubles, and then do a couple mission trips a year and lead some men's Bible studies and life group, and then wrote the 3 books. And it's great happiness. I mean, I'm crazy blessed in my life. So,
well, thanks for sharing. So, tell us about the 3 books you've written.
So I wanted to write for a long time, and I started a book 30 years ago and got, very, very short distance and set it down for a couple decades. And then in 2016, I finished it. My church gave me a sabbatical, and I spent an entire month to finish it. I'd just been piddling on it for years. And the book is called Travel Required. And when I was 16 years old, I was a junior in high school, Rapid City, South Dakota. Back in the day before the internet, you probably don't remember this, but I remember it well. And you couldn't go on the internet and look for a job, but we had a cork board on the wall at our high school. And employers would put 3x5 notes on it, and you could look at those notes and see if you wanted to try for some job. So one of the jobs had a big, big headline at the top that said Travel Required. And underneath it was advertisement to join a custom wheat harvest crew. Which sounded like crazy fun to me because I'm basically a natural-born vagabond. And I was only 16. I convinced my parents to let me do it. So I went down to southern Oklahoma, worked with a wheat harvest crew. We cut wheat all summer, ended up in northern Montana when I had to go back to finish my last year of high school. First time away from home, was impressed by thousands of things. I mean, it was very impactful for me. I was on a crew of really rough people. I mean, they never harmed me, but they harmed themselves habitually throughout the summer. Anyway, remembered a crazy amount about it. Ended up writing a book called Travel Required, which it's basically a coming of age story documenting, what I did for those 3 months. And
Okay.
so that was the first one. Then I wrote a book about my relationship with my dad. And it's not a trash your dead father book by any stretch. I mean, my dad had his issues and I had my issues. We had a tough relationship for a long time. Not in the sense that I was screaming at him and we got in fistfights or whatever, but in the sense that we were crazy distant from each other and we didn't know how to deal with each other. So I wrote a book called In My Father's Wake, How an Anxious Boy Came to Love a Difficult Dad. And so the word wake in this case has a double meaning. So when a ship goes through the water, it rolls out a big wake behind it, and they can be actually quite dangerous for smaller boats. So my dad had a way of going through life where he was bigger than life, took all the oxygen in every room he was in. It was my way or the highway. He was just a large and in charge wherever he was. And he just cast out this wake from him, this relational wake. My way to react was anxiety and depression and withdrawal. That's the first meaning of wake. The second meaning is, when my dad was in college, he took a canoe trip from Canada down the Goulet River into Lake Superior, down through Lake Superior, down through the ship locks at Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, and down to a place called Dunbar State Forest where he was a student. And it was about almost an 80-mile trip that he did with his buddy. He told me about it 15 times growing up. And so in 2019, after my dad had passed away, a buddy and I retraced that trip and just to see where he had been. And so in that sense, we're also in the literal wake of his canoe. So the book is about how God redeemed me, redeemed my relationship with my dad, and then redeemed my dad eventually. My dad came to faith when he was in his 80s. That's the second book. The third book is called Treasures Along the Road. It's 30 very short chapters on important stuff I learned in the course of my life. And I mean, they're literally 4 or 5 pages with some discussion questions. And it's just been used by a crazy number of people, especially men's Bible studies, because it's some of the basic things that I think were important to help a person that I took a long time to figure out. And so that's what that book's about.
Thanks for sharing about those.
Yeah.
I remember being a part of the men's group for a little bit, going through some of the chapters. I'm wondering what of the 30 treasures,
30.
What's the one that people seem to highlight the most?
Did you just ask an old man a question like that? Well, let me think for a second. I think one of the things that help people a lot is talking about the basic question of my attitude, my approach, my beliefs are in huge measure shaping how I'm experiencing life. Not just that there's good things or bad things happening, but how am I looking at it? How am I thinking about it? And I've been an expert at making myself miserable in a lot of situations. Not because the situation was utterly miserable, but because I just chose an outlook that was really not good.
Yeah.
And so a big part of it is just managing my own thought life and my own perspective. And, Romans 12, 1 and 2, where you renew your mind, and the Corinthians, take your thoughts captive. And I have a responsibility to manage what's going through my head. And, D.L. Moody one time said, I've never had as much trouble with any man in the world as I've had with myself.
I love that.
And that's true of me. And mostly the trouble I've given myself is the loops, the tapes I've played in my head. So
I'm curious on, you've had a lot of experience with the Lord. You have a lot of history with the Lord. You also have a lot of experience working for churches as a pastor. And we have to deal with money every day. So I guess I'm curious on what your thoughts are about just money and faith.
It's a miniature little topic there, my friend.
I know. Just
Money and faith. My thoughts are these. I'm a huge believer that God is the owner of everything, and that I'm only a steward. And so the money he's given me is for me to manage for his glory, the same as the body he's given me, the family he's given me, the gifts he's given me, all those things. It's mine to manage for his glory and for the good of other people. I'm not going to say I've always done that. I mean, there's a lot of ways I can mismanage both money and health or whatever. But part of what's helped me, Ryan, is coming to the concept that says, my Heavenly Father's deeply committed to me. He's incurably for me. And I can't do anything to make him love me more or less. He's deeply committed to me. He's going to provide for me. I've not lived under a bridge yet. And if I do, he'll sustain me under the bridge. So I've got to keep saying, God is crazy for me, and this is his resource. I want to honor him with it. And I think the Bible, and at least as I look at it, says, hey, here's what I, as a believer, should be doing with money. I should be giving some to him, obviously. Tithes and offerings concept. I think giving is an act of worship. And there's a concept in the Old Testament, you don't come into the presence of a king without a gift in your hand. And I need to come into the presence of my Heavenly Father with a gift. The gift of praise, the gift of finances. I need to bring him a gift because he's worthy of that. So one, I'm misgiving. Second one, and here I am telling a financial wealth manager all this stuff he knows. But the second one would be take care of your family. He who doesn't provide for his family is worse than an infidel. And so I have a responsibility to make sure my kids, my wife, have a roof over their head, etc. Beyond that, I think he calls me to save some, short term for when the fridge goes out, long term for when I can't work anymore. And so saving is a massive part of it. And I'm a person who did pretty bad at the short-term saving. I mean, it seemed like every time a fridge went out, I went, like, I didn't see that coming. In the generosity of God, I did much, much better at long-term saving. And I will say one thing about that, which is, I started out as a forester making no money. I went to seminary making even less money. I was a missionary in Alaska making not enough money for a wife and 3 kids. And so, we were in a constant scrape. We were in a constant hole. And so the short-term saving of money was, I felt it was impossible. We literally had to sell a car one time to put braces on our son. You talk about, the shell game, we're moving stuff around. We did that for a long time. But when I started as a missionary, they required me to raise $166 a month to put into long-term investment. And I was mad about it because I thought, $166, that's a lot of money that you have to raise. But I started doing that when I was 30 and have put some away every month since I was 30. And it's blessed me and my wife in crazy ways over the decades, So I was bad at short-term saving, really good at long-term saving. Beyond that, I think God wants us obviously to help the poor because there are people who are truly poor. And part of the test of where I am with my faith is, number one, do I help them? Number two, do I even know them? Do I even know people who really have need? And so Kathy and I have a line item in our budget, literally says the poor. And every month there's like $180 in it. And every month we just look at each other and say, who needs some help this month? And some months there's 2-3 people, and some months there's nobody. So we just save it up and help somebody eventually. But it's remarkable over the years how many times we've looked at each other and realized, hey, we know somebody who really needs some help right now for whatever reason. And then the last thing is to enjoy God's good gifts. 1 Timothy 5:17, God has given us all things richly to enjoy. And I think God is happy when our whole family gets to rent a house in McCall and spend Christmas together. It's not cheap, but it's great fun, and I think God enjoys it like we enjoy it. So there's a long answer to a short question.
I like the way you're the principles that you shared. So being generous, providing for your family, saving for short-term and long-term, and then enjoying.
Helping the poor.
Helping the poor.
And then enjoying.
And you wouldn't throw that into generosity. You have a separate line item for it.
We do in our case. Okay. Just because, my friend, I mean, Kathy and I, after too many years of managing our money with, okay, here's a bill came in, is there enough in the checkbook to pay it? We got on a budget, and it changed our experience of finances a great deal, because we knew what we had, we knew what we could spend on, and we knew what we couldn't spend on, and there wasn't a constant every month, can we do this, should we do this sort of thing. So the budget helped us ridiculously. But for us personally, we have a line item for what we give to the Lord and to the various missionaries and stuff we support, and then we have another line item for what we give to the poor, just to separate it out and say to ourselves, we got to be conscious of this.
Yeah.
It's just how we do it. It's not.
Well, it says, I think it's Proverbs. I don't know where. This is the Ryan Standard Translation. It's like, whoever's generous to the poor will not want.
Yeah.
So
let me say one thing about that, Ryan, please. I'm a deep believer in what I call the upside down economy of God. So the upside down economy of God is, I need to give to him off the top. I need to give to the poor. I need to be generous. I need to be sacrificial. And that should make my finances worse, technically. But in the upside down economy of God, it makes it better for some reason, for God's reason, because I'm honoring him and he takes care of me.
So I have a couple questions, but actually one question, but I'm going to reference, there's this author and professor at Harvard. His name's Arthur Brooks, and he's done some research on money and happiness. And he said that they've found that for every dollar you give, I can't remember the exact amount, but you get about $1, and it's over $1.30 back later somehow. And he says the reason why, that's what he says, I haven't checked the study, but he says the reason why is you're proving to yourself you can provide for yourself and help someone else. And that just makes you a more creative thinker and problem solver in the world. And so you're able to be more effective in the things that you do. Arthur Brooks is a Catholic. He seems like a pretty strong Catholic, but I'm just curious what your thoughts are on.
Well, I mean, obviously I didn't look at his research either, but I've read other things by him. I have a lot of respect for him. And I will say that whatever the mechanism God uses to make that be true, I think it is true. Yeah. Now, I mean, he's 85 times smarter than me, approximately. So I don't know about that, the 1.3%. But what I would say is, it makes a lot of sense to me spiritually. Yeah. And it's exactly what I've experienced in my own life. Yeah. In other words, Ryan, I mean, Kathy and I, the one thing we did right is we started giving to the Lord in our very first paycheck after we got married. And we were both committed to that. We did that. We've done that for 52 years now. And the ways that God has provided for us is really shocking to me when I look back at it. If you just take the money I made, the expenses I had, and then you look where I am today, and I don't have enough money to go buy Miami, but if you just look at where we are today compared to where we should be by the numbers, it's inexplainable,
Yeah. So tell me about what happened that made you and Kathy decide we should start a budget.
A bunch of fights in the kitchen at night around the table saying, we can't spend that, or why did you spend that, and that sort of a thing. So, I mean, I say that in a bit joking way, but it was basically, we just got tired of the frustration of not knowing where we were and not being prepared. And so we finally just made a resolve to do it. And that's been 35 years ago, maybe. But the first 15 years, I mean, Ryan, part of my challenge in life is that I was never trained in finances at all. Zero, So we get married she's working part-time, I'm working full-time. We put money in our account. And I will say as a side note, I am a massive believer in husband and wife having one pot of money. Massive believer. I understand people have different situations, but as a pastoral counselor, I've seen a lot of trouble in marriages because, his money, her money, and then the disagreements and the jealousies or whatever. All that said, we were managing our money for the first 15 years by everything we got. We went in the checkbook, and when a bill came in, we paid it, and then we bought stuff, and we got a bill, and we're saying, is there enough money in the checkbook to write this check now, or do we need to hold it? That's how we were managing it. We moved out of town. We moved out of Missoula to go to seminary, went to the bank to close our account, and the woman says, well, here's how much is in here, and do you have any outstanding checks? And I said, I don't think so. She says, do you balance your checkbook every month? And I said to her, what does that mean? I mean, that's how illiterate I was in finances. I didn't know you could balance a checkbook. I didn't know how to balance a checkbook. I didn't have a budget.
The good news now is nobody knows how to balance a checkbook.
Exactly.
So.
Which is fine. I mean, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I'm still one of those guys who gets out his pen and paper every month and balances his checkbook and try to keep it within $200 to $400. I mean, it's a joke.
It's a good discipline to write anything down, but it's like most people don't even know what balancing a checkbook means.
I would imagine, my friend, and this is maybe not helpful to you, but about 25 years ago, I started at the end of every month doing a thing that I call Index of Leading Economic Indicators. You know what that is in the government?
I know leading economic indicators, but the index?
So the government keeps track of what they call the Index of Leading Economic Indicators. I don't even know what they are, but there's stuff like unemployment rate and inflation and trade deficit, et cetera. And so the government keeps track of that as a general health of the economy sort of a thing.
Okay.
I do it in a very simple basis as a general health of Dave and Kathy Gibson. So I start with all of our assets, and the first asset I list is our Heavenly Father, because He's our one reliable asset. He's not going away. He's not going to be stolen. He's not going to be deflated. He's our one reliable asset. And I list our house, our cars, our investments, bank accounts, etc. So I get the asset number, and then I go down and list all the debts, and then I subtract the two out and see what is our net worth today.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that for literally, 25 years or so. At the end of the first year when I did it, the net worth was a little under $12,000. And it's gone up every year for, I will say, 30 years, except for 1 year. There was one real bad year. I don't remember what year it was. It was one of the bad years when the market went way down or whatever, maybe 2008 or something. But anyway, all I'm saying is every year God has given to us more and more and more and more and more, despite the fact that we are giving every month and helping the poor, and then at times, I mean, we've done big gifts because we've had family members who have needed it, and we've had it, and it's the right thing to do. I mean, as a person who was given zero help by my parents financially, it's been a joy to me to help my kids when they've needed it. I mean, I haven't bought them European vacations, but I have helped them with house down payments and that kind of a thing. You know?
That's awesome.
I went so long, I don't even know what your first question was.
Well, I have some things I'm thinking about, but I'm reminded of what Ron Bluth says about doing your giving while you're living. He says, do your giving while you're living so you're knowing where it's going. I think he stole that from somebody else, but just like I do have clients that are thinking through, like they have nice net worth, and they're thinking about, like fear comes in, maybe the enemy is like saying, oh, hey, you're not going to have enough to live, even though things look pretty good for them.
Right.
And so, but they are always encouraged deep down, they want to be able to help other people and help their kids. And I feel like part of my role is to encourage people to tell them, go do it,
I appreciate that a great deal, Ryan, because, we all have this struggle of how much do I keep? How much do I give? And do I have enough? Am I going to make it to the end? All of that kind of a thing. But the only direct quote of Jesus that's not recorded in the Gospels is in the book of Acts, where Paul said, the Lord himself said, it's more blessed to give than to receive.
Yeah.
There is greater joy in giving than in getting. And I have experienced that. I mean, I had a guy one time, a wealthy believer, gave me a brand new Honda Pilot off the lot. And it was a massive gift. I mean, it was crazy joy. Because we needed it desperately. But I've also been able to give a down payment to my son to get in a house. And I will tell you, that was a far more joy to me than getting the car. I mean, they were both great, but
Yeah.
Everything Jesus said is true, obviously. And so it's more blessed to give than to receive. And I love that statement. I love that idea.
My conviction on it is I'm not giving the majority of my money away. But I want to test that. My goal is to increase it year over year. And I want to test what Jesus said. Is it really better to give than receive? And whenever I do act on that, you mentioned your thought life when you were a kid and how you didn't say oppressed, but just how what was
Well, I would certainly say I was depressed, and I was in probably an obsessive compulsive thought loop. I mean, I was in a mess.
There's something about giving that the value isn't just you're helping somebody else. It's like disrupting your thought life because you're helping somebody else, and so you're not thinking about yourself anymore. You're thinking about how to help somebody else, and it seems, and you've always said this, Dave, is everything starts here.
Yeah.
So
well, and the other thing it does, Ryan, is it reminds you that you're dependent on the Lord and not on the checkbook. When I'm giving something away, it's basically a statement that says, I'm obeying God by giving this away, but I'm also demonstrating that I do trust God.
Yeah.
I don't need this X dollars that I just wrote this check for because I have my Heavenly Father. And I think it's a good spiritual recalibration to us personally when we do give.
So you have this Excel spreadsheet that's a net worth statement, but you have the Heavenly Father listed as an asset. I shouldn't be laughing.
No.
But I'm just trying to imagine, how do you build something like this?
Yeah. Listen, when you said an Excel spreadsheet, no, I have a piece of paper spreadsheet, 13 columns that you buy at the office supply store.
Okay, you write it down?
I physically write it down. I'm
why?
73 and a half. I'm 73 and a half.
You don't know how to use a computer?
I can use a computer for certain things, but number one, I love paper. I mean, I started as a forester, I'm a woodworker, and I love paper. I don't trust electrons.
Okay.
Nor should anyone.
Shut your computer down if you're watching this.
No, I'm a tactile person.
Yeah.
Now, listen, I mean, we're using electrons here, and I'm on all manner of electronic stuff with my computer and my phone, and I do a lot of Zoom calls, et cetera, et cetera. But
I think there's power in actually writing things down, making it simple enough, and when you write it down yourself, it's something you're creating. God's a creator. We're made in His image. When we're creating things, even if we're just moving a basic budget, but we're writing it down with a piece of paper, I think there's something that does to us.
I totally agree. And I mean, not everybody's like me in terms of their love of paper and tactile and visual. Not everybody's like me. But for me personally, that's what really works. And there's one of the first Christian financial guys was a man named Larry Burkett.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
Crown Financial, right?
Yeah. So I learned how to do a budget from him decades ago. And I could literally go through every category and tell you what's number one, number two, number three, et cetera. So I've been doing it a long time. And every year, my wife and I sit down in December and rewrite our budget for the coming year and say, okay, is it good where it is, or do we need to adjust something or whatever? And it works for us.
Yeah. So tell me about, because I'm on this pursuit of figuring out how to encourage clients to budget, because I think there's it will help them get the most out of their money. So how did you go from not budgeting to budgeting? And then were you doing it? What was the frequency? And then what's the frequency now?
So the reason we went from not doing it to doing it is because we were tired of the tension of not having our money figured out. We're tired of the tension of...
And you mentioned not being prepared for the short-term
Not at all.
stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
not at all.
You were already doing the long-term savings before you started budgeting?
Right,
Okay.
I was. Started doing long-term savings with my very first sort of professional job, at least in ministry.
Okay.
So we were doing that, but the short-term stuff, we were just, we get a check, put it in the bank, we got to pay the rent, we got to do this, this, this. Is there anything left? Let's go to the movie, that kind of a thing, So that was basically we were approaching it. And then when something went south, when a tire blew up, it was like a shock to us every time it happened, and oh man.
I think like a lot of people, like I resonate with that. A lot of people I think resonate with just feeling like little things are emergencies.
Yeah.
And then when you don't have, like when you're not budgeting and preparing, like trivial things become emergencies.
And that's a great thing, my friend. If you're careful about short-term savings, if the fridge goes out and it's X $100, it's just a nuisance to wait for a new fridge. It's not like we're having a panic attack or we're gonna have to, sell our wedding rings or something. We've just got it.
Or sell your car for braces for your kid.
Exactly. Which was a great trade. I got zero regrets about it, but
I just haven't heard that one yet. So how often were you and Kathy budgeting when you first started then? So you guys decided to implement a budget because you wanted to be more prepared for short-term things.
Yeah, and less fighting about every month things. But we started a budget and we followed it every month,
How did you implement it? Did you you take out cash and put in envelopes? What did you do?
We started with the cash and envelopes thing, but it got too tedious as time went on.
Mm-hmm.
And electronically, things are so much easier because you can pay your bills on your phone and all that stuff. So we started that way, but then we just got to say, okay, category 1, here's the Lord's money. Here's how much we have to give this month. And we had stuff we're committed to every month. There's our church and certain missionaries and Samaritan's Purse or whatever. And then, second item is taxes. How much are we going to put in savings for taxes? And then third item, housing. So every month we took our paycheck, put it in, divided it in those categories, and
you just left it in one account, and then you just knew to keep a certain portion in
we
there?
left it in one account. And I mean, again, I'm 73 and a half. This is archaic. Most people would laugh at this, perhaps, but I literally have a checkbook where I record what we give to the Lord in item 1, and then item 2, our tax money, and item 3. So if I pay my house payment, that comes out of the third category, and and then if I have a water bill or whatever, just keep track of that.
You write everything down in the checkbook?
I write everything down in the checkbook, but in this day and age, only in the sense that, I have a house payment, so I just record the number and subtract it from category 3. And I know how much is left in category 3. Now, I don't write on their house payment, check number, whatever, but, when you do your house payment every month, you pretty well know what the number is. You just put it in there, keep going.
Yeah, okay.
So
I know that people using one checking account, one of the challenges, it's easy to spend whatever you have in there. And if you're trying to build up short-term savings within your primary checking account, a lot of people, myself included, would struggle not just spending all of it. So I have a separate account because I'm not writing down every transaction and not recording it the way that you are.
Which is great. I mean, the way I do it is certainly too cumbersome for most people. But if I say, okay, here's $250 for short-term savings, I leave it in that account, but Larry Burkett has a way you can transfer it to a savings category and take it out of your checkbook line item. So even though you got $250, it's in the same account. It doesn't look like it in your check register, Now, when I look online, of course, I know exactly what it is, but too cumbersome for most people.
I see.
too cumbersome for
So
most people.
you're not really tracking online account very much. You're mostly tracking what you're writing down.
I track the online account only in the sense that every month I balance from it, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's too cumbersome for most
it's
people.
probably because of all your years of experience that you're able to do something like that.
It's probably because I'm a creature of habit.
So, and there's like I like the saying, all roads lead to Rome. Obviously, 84 doesn't lead to Rome, but there's like a lot of ways for you to accomplish what
There
the
is.
goal is.
There is, yeah.
And the point, I think, for me, I think the thing that matters is that somebody once a month is trying to do it, and that they're working with a spouse, or if they're not married, an accountability partner to just wrestle with, because doing it in isolation is hard.
It is.
And like having somebody else, there's part of it. So can you tell me a little bit about like how, do you feel like since you and Kathy have done the budget together,
Yes.
you guys, now you just create the budget once a year, but you were doing it once a month at first?
So we create it once a year together.
Okay.
So like in December, we'll sit down and create our monthly budget together.
Okay.
And then every month we know how much is in each category. We operate off of that. Every month, make a new budget at the end of the year. Now, in our particular marriage, Kathy has no interest in dealing with it. Mm-hmm. She's 4 times smarter than me. She's capable of dealing with it, but it doesn't interest her at all. So I do all of it in the sense of keeping track of the checkbook and making sure the bills are paid and all of that. Now,
But you guys are in agreement on
we're very much in agreement on the budget, and we're also in communication about how stuff is going, you know. And you know, like I tell her, yeah, hey, honey, we're if God wills, we're going to have the house paid off in 5 years, and we sit down once a year with our financial advisor, who happens to be our son, which is quite convenient, and he says, here's where you are, here's how much you can give away. You're doing fine, or you need to cut back here, whatever here. So once a year we sit down with him and work through all of that, and it's very instructive to us. And frankly, I love my boy with a passion. He knows crazy much about money. He finds my methods quite archaic, and it's fun to bring my index of leading indicator spreadsheet in and show it to him. He says, yeah, that looks great, Dad, and kind of slides it across the table to me. And then he opens up his computer, and he's got these 2 screens, and he's saying, but if we get 8%, it's going to be this, and his numbers are flying all over, you know.
So I do have clients that make their own net worth. We track people's net worth, but you're kind of reminding me of just situations where clients come in and they have their own way of tracking it. And I'm like, why? I track it for you. But you know what? I get it, because it is important to have your, like, the part you're taking ownership of. And it's very hard to take ownership of what somebody else is creating.
I appreciate it. That's very true. Here's the thing, though. My son doesn't have as good a view of my net worth as I do, in the sense that he's not tracking my debts. He's not tracking my short-term savings.
Sure.
So there's a few things that I know better than him. Now, he knows the really important stuff better than me, you know.
Yeah.
And so.
So, okay, so you're telling me that you create the budget with Kathy once a year. You are taking the responsibility of executing it, keeping her up to date.
Let me say one more thing about that.
Please.
Don't forget your next question. I created about a year ago a 4-page document to explain to Kathy and to my son exactly what I do every month, so that they know, you know, we get this money from our Social Security, we get this money from our Edward Jones account, we have to spend these certain things, they go into these certain places, and so I have defined completely what has to happen there. So I just described all that so that, you know, when I pass away, it's not such a utter headache to Kathy to figure out, you know, what's supposed to be happening here.
That's wise. So, yeah, I think that's a good thing to do. I wish I had something to say to that outside of that stuff I'm thinking through right now with Rachel is trying to set up things in a way that it's very easy for her to take over if needed to be. But I don't have something written that explains each function. But I am thinking about how to make it as seamless as possible if something happened. One of the questions that I was wanting to ask was, so you're familiar with wrong blue, and one of the principles he says is to transfer wisdom before wealth, because wealth doesn't guarantee wisdom, but wisdom may produce wealth.
Yeah.
So thinking about your kids, your experience, even with how you were raised, what is one principle that you hope your kids have picked up from you?
Well, in the area of wealth, I would say the one principle I hope they picked up is our Heavenly Father is our one resource. And I've got to lean on Him. And it's going to go better for me financially if I use my resources in a way that honors Him, the way that He directed me to. So
I love that.
So
that makes me think, because you brought this up earlier, and I was like, oh, I wonder if I could ask him this, and then I forgot. So thank you for reminding me. Because Jesus does tell us to store up treasures. He just says store up treasures in heaven. So I've been thinking through this idea of, like, you have a net worth that you track, and you do put an asset as the Heavenly Father,
Right.
but you can't really quantify that. So, but we are familiar with a balance sheet, assets and liabilities on earth. We know what that looks like. I've been wondering, like, what is, Jesus says to store up treasures in heaven. So what is like a balance sheet in heaven? What assets are there? If the streets are paved with gold,
right.
what are the assets in heaven? Because gold's very valuable on a balance sheet here, but it's the pavement there.
Exactly.
So,
it's asphalt up there, yeah. So what are the assets you're storing up in heaven? I obviously there's not a literal account saying, okay, well Dave's given his church X $1,000, and so he's none of that. So what am I taking to heaven, and what am I sending forward to heaven? The only thing I'm taking to heaven is, in the kindness of God, because of the sacrifice of Christ, I'm taking my soul there. Other than that, I'm going out empty-handed. Naked I came in the world, naked I'm going out.
yeah.
I mean, end of discussion. So that's the only thing I'm taking to heaven. But sending ahead, I think, in the concept of I'm sending ahead rewards. And I know there's a lot of Christians who struggle with the concept of rewards. Like, hey, if you had a pure heart, you wouldn't care about rewards. The problem with that statement is it's God in the Bible who talks about rewards.
Yeah.
We didn't make that up. He said, there are rewards in heaven. Paul says, there's stored up for me a crown of life, and not only for me, but for all those who loved His appearing. And so there's a sense in which I'm storing up rewards in heaven. And it's the Corinthians concept that, I'm going to stand before God, not to be judged for my sin, because Jesus paid for that, but to be evaluated for my works. And I will be saved if my works were gold, silver, precious stone, they'll survive the fire. If they were wood, hay, stubble, they'll be burned up. But in the sense that if I did things to honor God, to help others from a pure motive, I'm sending a reward ahead to heaven. Now, what happens to that reward when I get there? A lot of theologians think I get this crown full of rewards, and the first thing I do is I kneel down and I throw it at God's feet and say, it's yours. It's an act of worship, as the book of Revelation, the concept that people took off their crown, threw it at the foot of the throne. It's like, so I mean, I don't think I'm storing up anything in the sense that we're going to get to heaven and I'm going to be in a, taller chair than Ryan is because I, gave more money before he died or something. I mean, that feels ridiculous to me, but.
I know Scripture does use the crown example. I guess, because somebody that has always liked treasure, watching movies that we're talking about, like movies that the plot was to find treasure and being captivated of that as a kid. I'm like, I guess I've wondered, and you can tell me if you could deflate this argument, because I've really inflated this argument, Dave. So you could humble me very well. Because I've been reading through the parable of the shrewd manager. And if you remember, well, this is like the ESV, I think that's how they title it, Parable of the Shrewd Manager. But there's a guy that gets let go from his job. Then he finds all the debtors for the guy that's letting him go and tells the people that owe his master something, cut your debts in half. And then there's like a verse that says something, by means of unrighteous mammon, make friends. And then something, and this is Ryan's translation again, is like, and they will receive you into eternal dwellings. And so I just been thinking about that more and more, especially with giving, and how like in the act of giving, oftentimes like I find my heart where I'm giving. So if I'm like helping somebody, I may not really have cared about that person that much at first, but as I'm trying to problem solve with them, and maybe I like help them financially in one way or another, I just find myself a little bit more invested into them. And so I find myself making friends with people that I don't think I would have made friends with. And so I guess I wonder, is it possible the balance sheet in heaven is intimacy with God and intimacy with more people, because we're using our resources to help other people, and maybe relationships transfer to heaven?
I would say it's more than possible. I would say it's certain. And I say that based on not only the discussion you just gave about the unjust steward, but at the end of Matthew 7, where Jesus says, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. I love the things I invest in. It's a natural spiritual principle. I love the things I invest in. I invest in my kids. I love them because of my kids, but I love them even more because I invest in them. My grandkids, my church. You find a guy who's crazy sold out to the local soccer league, and he's given it time and money and energy. He loves it. My heart follows my treasure. And if I'm investing in stuff that's leading my heart further away from God, it's a horrible investment. If I'm investing in stuff that leads my heart closer to God, it's a wonderful investment. And store up treasures in heaven, because where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm curious on, you've been in the church world a lot, and it's very, I guess, in my opinion, I want to cast judgment on people often, and sometimes I'm wondering, like, is this just righteous judgment, or is this just me being arrogant? But the point is, I'm wondering, do you think, are there any, like, common traps you see that, like, people in the church fall into regarding their relationship with finances that are hindering their relationship with God?
Well, I'll start by saying, Ryan, I think my personal opinion is the average American believer is more discipled by the culture than by God's book. I'm deeply convinced of that. More discipled by the culture than by God's book. They're more likely to, in every aspect of life, including finances, they're more likely to order their finances based on the American dream than on the kingdom dream. Because, in my judgment, and this, I need to indict myself, not every American Christian, but in my judgment, if I am not habitually discipled by God's book, I am going to be in the ditch in every part of life. If I'm discipled by the culture in the area of beauty and attractiveness, I'll be in the ditch. In the area of finances, I'll be in the ditch. In the area of how much I help other people, whatever. But to the degree that I'm discipled by God's book, and I'm not being pressed into the mold of the American culture, that I'm going to experience joy, I'm going to be useful to God, I'm going to experience less anxiety, store more treasure in heaven, and I'm deeply convinced of this, my friend. And I'm sure at this point I sound like an old man raging at kids, get off my lawn, but seriously, I don't think believers open the book, capital B, and think about it like they should, and apply it to their lives like they should.
Yeah. I'm wondering what is like, what's somebody being discipled by the book look like? If you had to try to put language to.
It's a great question. My answer would be, if I'm really being discipled by the book, in the area of finances, I'm ordering my finances based on those, giving to God, providing for my family, saving short-term, saving long-term, helping the poor, enjoying God's thing, the good gifts from God. If I'm discipled by the book, if I'm discipled by the culture, not giving anything to the church, not giving anything to the missionaries, not giving anything to the poor, I'm having as much fun as I can possibly have right now. I'm buying the toys. I don't care about the debt. If I can make this payment, I'm getting another jet ski. That kind of a thing. So that in the financial area, I would say that's it. In the emotional area, for example, God says, I just did a new message on the Lord's Prayer, and one of the things He says there is, "Forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us." So in the emotional area, if I'm discipled by the book, I'm going to be forgiving the people who have harmed me, no matter if they apologize to me. That's got nothing to do with it. Zero to do with it. I am commanded to forgive people with zero caveat. It doesn't say if they apologize, if they feel sorry for it, if they come back and make it right. That's got nothing to do with it. I'm commanded to forgive. If I'm discipled by the book, I will be forgiving people on a regular basis. If I'm discipled by the culture, I'll be a person of grudges. I'll be a person of, you're not my friend because whatever you did, So, it can be applied, obviously, to every area of life, my friend.
Well, I think you can make the connection, too, that if I'm reading the Lord's Prayer and I'm trying to forgive the people that have hurt me, that's going to require time to think about it, to process it, to spend time with God. And now there's like a trade-off of I probably would have been going out with the boys.
Or nursing the grudge.
Yeah. But I guess what I'm trying to say is like the action that Scripture requires from us oftentimes is more meaningful and does not require a financial investment into, or if it is, it's an act of faith, but not like here's your required payment.
Yeah.
But when we're doing things that are like this world offers that aren't eternal, it's always like, this is what it costs to do this.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, if I'm seeking wholeness with all my relationships, that takes a lot of my free time up, If I'm like actually going to be convicted and compelled to do something about that.
Not only your free time, Ryan, but your emotional energy and your submission, your pride. You got to humble yourself and say, in my prideful self, I want to get a pound of flesh out of them. They owe me. But in my humble self, I say, no, they don't owe me anything. I owe God obedience of releasing them from their debt to me. And I think the New Testament word for forgiveness is primarily release from debt. So, somebody did something to me. It was hurtful. They didn't apologize. They didn't care. And they're in my debt now because they did this. No, God says, just release the debt. I released your debt.
Yeah.
The parable of the man who owed his master $6 billion in modern money. Like he owed him zillions and zillions, and the master forgave him. And then he finds his fellow slave owed $10,000. He chokes him and throws him in debtor's prison. And God is saying, Dave, the amount I forgave you is zillions. You don't even know. I know some degree what God forgave me. I don't even know the whole degree. He forgave me zillions. Why could I be mad at Ryan for, dinging the corner of my car or whatever he did, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, one of the questions I was going to ask you was, do you think our emotions impact our financial decisions? And I guess even going back to your point of what we could be doing with our time is nursing a grudge. And oftentimes that does manifest itself in an addiction. Does it?
I'd say yeah.
And those things do have, oftentimes, if you're drinking, whatever it is, like
Right.
It's going to have a monetary cost to it too. But I guess I've just been fascinated with the world of like I feel like, I don't know if it's the American culture, the Western church, or if it's just I am a, arrogant 33-year-old. But just like I'm becoming more aware that our emotions are actually a pretty powerful source of energy. And if I'm submitted to God, it actually is going to propel me to go through things that I would not have been, I wouldn't have the boldness to do without them.
Or the stamina. So to that point, Ryan, I mean, we're created in the image of God, and that is mind, emotion, and will. So God is all-knowing, and I can think. God is all-loving, and I can love. God is all-powerful, and I can act. So I relate to God in all three of these realms, or at least I should. And all three of those realms in a biblically ordered life will have a positive impact. In a biblically ordered life, I will think thoughts that are aligned with the Bible and good for my health and good for the people around me. I will feel feelings that are aligned with the Bible, are good for the people around me, are good for me. I will take actions that are aligned with the Bible, they're good for me and good for the people around me. And so to your point of emotions, they're a powerful driver in our life. And I mean, I have some friends whose lives are driven by angry emotions. They are just so mad. It just has a negative impact on every part of their life. And then others whose lives are so emotionally positive, stable, loving, that it just impacts them and everybody around them. I forgot the guy who said it. He's a modern thinker. He said, we have a moral responsibility to be happy people. And when he said that, I thought, what? And his argument is this. If I'm a happy, positive person, I give hope and encouragement and help to everyone around me.
Yeah.
And that's why it's a moral responsibility of mine. But if I'm a crotchety, angry, continually snapping person, it just pulls everyone down around me. And I have a moral responsibility to be happy. I don't know if I got chapter and verse for that, but I like it. You know, so.
I mean, Warren Buffett talks about you go in the direction of your friends. And so you gives instruction to you want to be intentional with who you're picking for your friends. So that does make sense. So my attitude is going to seep over to the people around me. It's that same principle that, things are contagious. And your perspective, your thoughts, end up dictating what you end up doing. So I have some just general questions. It's 3 of them. You've already given us some insight off screen about one of them regarding the mortgage, but let's start with just what do you think about credit cards?
I think credit cards have got to be used by a person of severe discipline. In other words, they're so easy to abuse.
Yep.
And I mean, I have a credit card. I have 2 credit cards, 3 credit cards. I have one that I use on a monthly basis. I earn airline miles to go visit my grandkids. I pay it off in full every month. And I know the categories I'm spending on it. So I understand there are certain Christian financial thinkers who say never, ever, ever. And I understand why they say that. I use one, I pay it off every month, I earn airline miles, and I also know that when I check into a hotel or rent a car or whatever, they're always insisting on that. I don't know how you get through life without having one, but maybe there's a way. I don't know. Yeah.
I just use a debit card, but my case for it, I think because you're being so thoughtful about the decisions that you're making, that adds friction. If you're not doing the work that you're doing and you're using a credit card, you're removing friction, and the credit card rewards are going to motivate you to spend money that you don't have.
You don't have, and
sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, I got my first credit card when I was 35 because my mission board co-signed with me. They were hard to get at that time. Now they hand out applications like candy to freshmen in college because they know the kid's going to run up $1,400 the first semester and mom and dad are going to pay it off. Utterly irresponsible on the part of the kid and the credit card company. But anyway.
I agree. How do you prepare for a car purchase?
In my case, poorly.
But you prepare for flat tires now and, and refrigerators?
See, my life has changed so much, my friend, because after 52 years of marriage, my finances are better and I have more margin than I did. Ryan, at one time in my life, I was a pastor. I was making $30,000 a year. I had a wife and 3 children, and I counted up 13 debts. I had a house debt, I had a car payment, I had 2 credit cards, I had the rest doctors and dentists and whatever, orthodontists. And I mean, every month I was just parceling out a little bit to everybody. It was a miserable way to live, In the kindness of God, I've gotten past that. So on my good times, I saved up monthly for a car, and I put it in savings so that when we got there, I could either buy it or get a very small loan. I had a little bit of a unique thing in my life in that as a minister, people gave me cars. Now, they weren't all the brand new off-the-lot Honda Pilot. Some of them were third owner, hope you can get a year out of this kind of a car, which I did, So that was different for me. Now, today, I have a car payment because my boy said to me, Dad, it's a 1.9% loan, and I can make you 8 to 12 in your money. It doesn't make sense for you to buy it outright. So I did it.
Okay. And I should have prefaced this question with we see credit cards being a trap for people.
Yeah.
We see the next car purchase being a trap for people.
Yeah.
And the last question is a home. That's the other thing we see being a trap for people. So tell us about, you said you have 15 years. You got a 15-year mortgage on the home that you live in now. And then how many years left do you have on it?
5.
5 years left, okay. And you want to refinance to a 30-year?
No. Yeah.
So you're excited about...
I'd be crazy excited about it. Ryan, I have a little bit of a unique situation because as a pastor, for clergy and military, we have the housing allowance exemption. So it's actually to my financial benefit to have the payment right now because of that, because I'm clergy. It wouldn't be for everybody. But in the towering generosity of God, I got a 2.5% loan for my house. I got it at the very bottom of the market here 10 years ago. It's God's crazy generosity. So I was saying earlier off camera that my wife and I were married 17 years before we got into a house. And when we got into a house, we did that by borrowing our kids' college savings because they didn't need it yet and building the house ourselves. I mean, literally, me and my wife and my father-in-law built the house. And so, I mean, it was a scraping fight at that point in our life. We made a little money on that house. We lost money on the next house. We lost money on the next house. We made crazy money on the next house. And so we just kind of fought our way through life with whatever, curveball was coming at us. And so we got to a place where we were able to get a low percent loan. Definitely wanted a 15-year because, and I pay extra on it every month in the kindness of God so that, I'm doing my best to fight that down. But here again, it's 2.5%.
That's great. I think how I want to close is I just want to know what you're excited about because you're 73
and a half.
And your wife says you're not good at being retired.
I'm very bad at it.
So what are the stuff you're up to and what are the things you're excited about?
I've been up to too much, my friend. It's all good stuff. I've been leading 2 mission trips a year to do evangelism, Cuba and Ecuador. I've been doing some writing. I'm part of 2 men's Bible studies, 2 Christian book clubs. I'm leading my life group. I'm on the elder board of my church, although they're letting me off soon, which I'm stinking happy about. I love our church. I love the men on the board, but younger people should be doing this than me. And as you know the story, I was kind of pressed into service because we had a bunch of trouble, but our church is in a wonderful place now. So what am I excited about? I'm excited about investing in my kids and grandkids. Crazy joy. I say grandparenting is the best gig on the planet, and I mean it. It is glorious. And part of what I have a mission in life, which is not only to pass on my grandkids wisdom, but especially to pass on to them grace, because I think my judgment, kids can get too much sort of structure, discipline, you're not doing this right, and not enough, hey, Grandpa and God love you like crazy, and God's for you, and be courageous and go on. And so I've tried to view myself as a storehouse of grace for all of my grandkids, which is a huge joy to me. I love doing that. Kathy and I are in a great relationship place in our life because we love each other. We've been faithful to each other for 5 decades.
Wow.
We're not worried about car payments, and we have time. Kathy and I together just led a huge outreach at our church, evangelistic outreach, and we both worked on it, and it was a lot of work, and it was hard work, but it was rewarding, So I'm excited about the stuff God gave me to do at this phase of life. It's glorious to me.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for
man.
coming. I've always appreciated. Well, I really appreciate you. And when you were taking over as a pastor, short term, at Faith Community Bible Church, it was. Yeah, I just love listening to your messages. I remember you pointing me out when I would laugh at your jokes.
You're the only one. Ryan, that's so. I love you for 10,000 reasons, but you're the only one who laughs at my jokes, and I'm just so happy.
So I'll be waiting there for the next time. I missed the last time you spoke, but I'll be waiting again to laugh at your jokes. So thank you for coming.
Yeah, it's great fun, my friend.
So we'll do that. Yeah.